Arsenal are not liked. Arteta is not liked. But why else do we feel that Arsenal live under such a pressure cooker? Let's get into it. Thank you for tuning in. This is Rav from the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. The purpose of this video is to give my thoughts, my opinion, why there seems to be such an unrelenting level of scrutiny and pressure on Arsenal, the likes that in my 30 years of following this football club, it's something that even I have not come across to this extent, to this level. Specifically, we'll get into the comments post the Liverpool match that Peter Schmeichel made. However, it's just more of a generic discussion to give my viewpoint of why I continue to see this happen. So in no particular order, I think what's happening is that I also think what is happening, there's a little bit of self-inflicted pressure with this from Arsenal fans. Our desire to win after finishing second 3 seasons in a row, coming so close. We exited the Champions League semi-final against PSG, despite playing pretty damn well, I must say, given the circumstances and the injuries. Ultimately, though, there's a need, there's a desire, from myself included, for Arsenal to climb that mountain, to lift a major trophy, the Premier League or the Champions League. We have been building up to this crescendo for so long. It's been so long since Arsenal won the Premier League, as I'm sure you're aware, and we continually get reminded about it too, right? So you don't need me to tell you. There's a need for Arsenal to win and win now and win soon, and I believe this is what the club also recognised with the investment we've made this summer, the 8 signings that's been covered at length. However, this pressure that comes from within Arsenal, we understand that there's only so long that you can continue to come so close, but not close enough, and there's that need to protect that. I know Arsenal fans in particular are quite vocal online, and look, maybe your clubs are. Maybe I just live in a bit of an Arsenal bubble, so to speak, but maybe all clubs are like that. They can get very defensive and are easy to sort of clickbait and rage bait. But Arsenal fans in particular are quite vocal online, and even within the fan base, there's still some divisive opinions about Arteta and whatnot. So there's a need for Arsenal to win and to win now, and I understand that desire. I live and feel it too. I'd love to see this group of players who I have such a strong affinity for, with that Arteta has built, the measures that we've made to come this close, given where we were just a few seasons ago. I fully understand that, and I want that to happen. And I'm confident that we will achieve what we want to achieve in some shape or form this season. But just already the temperature is quite high, because within Arsenal, and especially around the club, there's that desire to win, and no one encompasses that more than Arteta. I think he's very obsessive about winning. We sometimes see it spill over a bit too far in the other direction, but no one represents Arsenal's need to win better than Mikel Arteta. Like, he absolutely wants this more than anyone, and I very much feel that the squad play for him. And they share that same desire. And you see it with the contract renewals. It's been a while since Arsenal have lost a player of very, very high caliber. They want to renew. They want to extend their time. They've got unfinished business. And they want to see this project through by culminating in major trophies. So I think that's one major reason why the temperature is already so high. More so, though, another major point is that we live in a very clickbait, rage bait, sensationalist type of world at the moment. This extends well outside of football. Obviously, this discussion is relevant to football and Arsenal-related discussion, but just across the current media, the industries, we're so heavily bombarded with information. We're oversaturated with all of our apps, our social media apps, news websites. They're all vying for your attention. There's only a limited, finite attention that one person can give, or one device can give us, our phones or our tablets, our computers. So there's a need to compete. There's a need to make things as rage baity, clickbaity, to grab your attention. And this very much stems into football and football punditry. I referenced that Schmeichel quote before, but I could cite so many more others, right? This isn't just to go too hard on that Schmeichel quote, but just to paraphrase, post-Liverpool, he said something along the lines of he'd never wanted a team to win more than he did Liverpool, right? Because of the way the football that Arsenal play. And that just That just sums all this up. It is so disingenuous, because I truly doubt he genuinely believes that. In his long and illustrious career, I highly doubt he's wanted a team to win more than Liverpool, who are an arch nemesis of United, for example. He was a great goalkeeper for United and won a lot and had some intense battles with early stage Arsene Wenger in the late 90s, right before his time came to an end at United. So don't just spare me, like as if I'm going to believe that he didn't want any other team to win more than Liverpool that day. This is an example of him trying to create a headline. This is an example of pundits in a very overly saturated market. They want to stay relevant as well. There is that need. They want to be covering big matches. They want to be, getting good contracts with the major broadcasters, Sky and everyone else. I believe Amazon are very active as well in the European market. So there's only so many pundits who are going to get that exposure. And every now and then, right, you need to say something just ridiculous like that because that's what gets clipped up. That's what gets circulated. That's what spreads like wildfire. And you see it. You see the engagement that these sorts of comments make on social media and YouTube and all those sorts of places. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to grab your attention. And if you do find yourself being drawn in to that, being sucked in, well, that's I totally understand. By the way, because maybe we all have this innate nature to protect our club and protect what we believe is true or not, and that's what it's playing into. It's designed to get your reaction. It's designed for you to comment or to get into maybe some arguments within the comments or to share your opinion or to repost it, circulate it in your own way. That's what it's designed to do. So I don't believe it's in the right spirit of accurate, reasonable punditry. In my 30 years of watching Arsenal, watching football closely, I've never seen it like this. It's just getting to ridiculous levels. And for me, it just shows that the objective has changed. It's not in the spirit of good, proper analysis and punditry and conversations. It's to grab a headline, to grab a snippet, and you see it clipped up, and it tells you everything with the emojis and the text that they use on these sorts of when they circulate it. The same thing with when there's a contentious decision in a football match. I quite often see what's circulated is a clip of that particular passage of play. And the descriptive text tells you everything. It says, was this a penalty, with the thinking emoji? Or do you think this should have been a red card? And it's that type of thing that creates the engagement. It's that type of headline that they want, because that's the stuff that is going to get people's, when you're scrolling through your phones, right, that's what's going to make you stop and pay attention, because you will press play, you will watch the clip, you will maybe circulate yourself through the comments and to see what the consensus is. And then this is exactly what it's designed to do. It's clickbait. It's to drive engagement, which ultimately drives revenue, increases attention on the product, right? So if you find yourself being sucked into that, as I have in the past, then what helps me is just to recognize, just to be able to step away and say, look, I'm not getting sucked into that, because I don't want to be played a fool. I don't want to give them what they actually want. I have my opinion, and I don't need to validate it by expressing my rage or my discomfort online about it. So if that helps me, that's not to say it's going to help everyone, but if you're finding yourself being sucked into that too much, then please, hopefully my words can be of some value to you. The last aspect of this as well is that I don't believe Arteta is very well liked. I mean, I mentioned before that even within the Arsenal fan base, there's still a segment that do not like him and want him out and want someone else in charge. And maybe they feel, maybe there's some valid reasons in there, that there are some question marks. Is this as far as he can take Arsenal? And we may not be able to get over the line. Look, I understand that there are some valid points maybe within there. How they're expressed, though, is something entirely different. And even within Arsenal, he's not particularly liked. And I certainly feel that sentiment in and around Arsenal when people, other clubs or pundits, there's just this. There's what's the right word I'm looking for? Maybe it's partly they're threatened as well, because Arteta has brought Arsenal back from the doldrums, back from being a bit of a banter club, right? Just getting pummeled in big matches, finishing in the top four, or sometimes even in recent years finishing outside the top four, getting pummeled in Europa League finals and whatnot. And that was comfortable for many. That was comfortable for many pundits too, who have had, I guess, differing relationships with Arsenal, maybe in their playing days. Schmeichel is a prime example of that. So there's a dislike of Arsenal already. But Arteta bringing Arsenal as close as he has, that's a challenge for some to recognise. That's a challenge for some to accept. That, hey, this guy, he's brought Arsenal right back to the brink. And I think that's the reason why you see that people just sharpen the knife so quickly when Arsenal stumble or have a bad result or a loss. Right, they're so quick to revel in that joy and express their joy in that satisfaction, because they just don't like Arsenal, and they don't like Arteta in particular. I mean, there was that one pundit, the name escapes me right now, but he was very vocal about Arteta being outside of his box, being outside of his technical box while watching matches, and he used to go on and on about that all the time. From what I recall, and it became a thing. It became a thing that people pay attention to that. People are aware. And I believe that even played a part in referees' viewpoint of him expressing himself on the sidelines. He's been issued cautions and cards that I haven't really seen other managers do. I remember there was that late Declan Rice winner against Luton about 18 months ago to win the match in the final minute or so, in injury time, in stoppage time. And Arteta, he celebrated just like everyone else is entitled and allowed to do. I was celebrating at home. I jumped off the couch with that. And he was given a yellow card, a caution for that, for excessive celebrations or some technicality like that. And it cost Arsenal. It cost him a suspension. And the follow-up match, he was sitting from the sidelines, and I believe that was the Aston Villa match, and it cost Arsenal. It cost us in points. So this is just an example to give that I think Arteta is just disliked. And how he conducts himself and how he behaves himself is so heavily scrutinized, because it's looked at through that lens of, that prism of, that I don't like him, and here's why. And anything that he says or does is just intensely magnified as a result. So I just think there's a combination of factors here that's created this pressure cooker in and around Arsenal. And it's just one of those things where, look, I wish I had the solution for. I do have a pretty straightforward solution, I guess, is that we win. Is that we win our matches, we do our business. And if we win major trophies this season, which I certainly hope so, I genuinely believe that's going to change the entire landscape. That will change the perception, because no longer can you be ridiculed and teased or sort of poked out, or the choking tags and just all the little rage baity stuff that you see that shadows Arsenal, especially when we have a poor result. But once you actually prove yourself to be genuine winners, that elevates your reputation. It changes the entire dynamic. It changes the entire perception in and around you and your club and your mentality and your success rate, because it speaks for itself. So I genuinely believe that Arsenal will do that, will achieve that. And I'm quite confident that the whole perception, the landscape for Arsenal will improve after that. But until then, especially week to week over a long season, especially when the matches come in thick and fast and Champions League starts later this season with 2-3 matches a week, the knives are sharp and they're ready. They're ready to sort of, slice and dice Arsenal at every opportunity they can get. If you can, as best as possible, just please take some value from some of my comments here and don't get too drawn into it or don't get too disheartened by it, because I believe their motives, it's not genuine. It's quite sinister actually in nature. So if that helps you not to get too sucked in, I hope that then this video has been of some value to you. So please, if you could please let me know in the comments, let me know what you think. Have I missed anything? Have I got this right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, look after yourselves and come on, Arsenal.